Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Hoey. We have another great show for you tonight, so boys, let's get it started. Well, it's opening night. We love opening night. We don't like closing nights. It would seem like we had that on Sunday. Opening night with the Celtics. They take on the Bucks at an empty Boston Garden. Fellas, you got to be excited. It's an ability to watch a professional sports game that we're interested in.
Yeah, we had one team fade away on Sunday for good and another team picking up on Wednesday, so it's not so bad.
Right, and it feels right now, Joe, that the Celtics could be king of this town.
They could be right now, but if they have any performances like those two exhibition games, boy, the Nets just dismantled them.
Joe, that's why they call it exhibition.
I don't know.
I don't know. Durant looked pretty good.
Yeah, and the Celtics look pretty bad. I mean,
come on, Timmy. Jeez, they started.
You know what, Scotty? In 5 shots, I was on the trade Marcus Smart bandwagon. You know? I know. I'm a fair weather friend. He was heaving bricks like you couldn't believe.
Well, he said he's going to be more selective this year concerning his shot selection. Rusty boy, you think somebody maybe had a conversation with him?
Yeah, I mean, look, their record. I think their record with him taking over 12 shots is awful, and when he's taking under a 10, it's great. You know, it's some really obvious split, and all it does is you just sit down with him with a piece of paper and say, Marcus, we win basketball games when you take, an appropriate amount of shots, and we lose basketball games when you get too aggressive. So how's about we win some games?
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 7, by the way, the Machino line for Marcus Smart is 7. If he takes more than 7 threes, they lose.
Also, the Celtics are considerable underdogs tonight at plus 160. So I don't think Vegas right now is exactly buying Celtics hype.
Yeah,
it starts and ends with the highest paid player on the team and our star, Jason Tatum. How Jason Tatum goes this season, so goes the Celtics.
That's how it is for a lot of NBA teams. If Jason Tatum is in the running to be a top 5 to 7 NBA player, this team's going to win a lot of games because the teams with the team with the best player in the court wins that game.
Yeah. And Timmy, Jaylen Brown, he's taking it to another level each season. Now all of a sudden he really needs to be the top. It needs to be the top 2 players in the Celtics.
As much as I was bashing Hayward, and we were all bashing him, he was noticeably like that kind of third star out there. Well, I mean, Walker's out injured, but like having another guy whose name you actually know on the court, it's noticeable.
Yeah, and the rumors, Joe, that Jaylen Brown would go to Houston for James Harden that's just
ludicrous. Why would Houston do that without maybe their next 10 years first-round picks coming there too?
What are you talking about?
Jaylen Brown isn't enough for James.
That's the complete opposite of what I was just going to say.
I agree with you because I would prefer to see Jaylen Brown stay here and see what we can make of the Tatum-Brown combo. Maybe we can attract another star a year or 2 from now too.
The complete opposite of what I was going to say. Russ, I wouldn't trade Jaylen Brown for James Harden at any point.
Yeah, he would be the cutoff point. I think would you give – and I agree with Joe. By the way, there's no way Houston's taking just Jaylen Brown. They're going to ask for Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and a bunch of draft picks.
Sullivan, do you know what his 2-year extension was for? $103 million, 51.
Yeah. He's turning it down.
$51.5 million a year.
And he spent his whole off season, I know it was short, eating. He looks like Pablo Sandoval.
Did I just hear you say, I was doing computer stuff, you would not trade Jaylen Brown for James Harden?
No, I would not. Absolutely not. That would be right. No, that would be like giving you a brand new Corvette in Jaylen Brown for an old Bentley. and I'm not doing it.
I don't know, man. You know,
Al Bentley's worth a lot more than a vet.
I see, there you go. You've got to be kidding. And James Harden just gets suspended. Breaking news for COVID violations. The OKC Houston game has just been postponed. I mean, it's a train wreck in Houston, and I don't want any of that coming our way.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I think the bigger question this year is going to be, look, it's going to be, they play about 24 games through the first week of February, and that's the time where you have to figure Kemba's out, right? So let's assume he's out for all of January, probably a little bit into February. That's a third of the season. I honestly, without Kemba, I think this team will be lucky to go 500, win 12 games out of those 24. I think it's going to be really thin. Their bench without Kemba and without Romeo Langford, their bench is incredibly thin.
Oh,
okay. I
Well,
agree.
to that point, Teague, I don't think is as sick with Brown and Tatum as yet, and Smart. So he's has minimal, value as a point guard right now until he's played with these guys for at least a couple of weeks.
You know what I noticed against New Jersey was we looked small out there. I mean, New Jersey had some guys, they didn't even have to jump to get the rebounds. And Tice has to jump out of the building even to compete for a rebound. We looked very, very small. I mean, it looked like they had giants. It looked like the Nets had giants on their team.
But Tristan Thompson's coming back tonight.
Right.
He's going to play. He's going to make a huge difference.
He's going to make a big difference because he was noticeably absent.
This was exhibition, guys. You can't.
Yeah, no, look, I agree with that. It was exhibition games, and the Nets did look good last night. But look, the big problem on this team right now with Kemba out is playmakers, guys who can make plays with the balls in their hand. And the ball is in their hand. And you've got Jason Tatum. Marcus Smart is a playmaker. He can make plays with the ball. And then you got Jaylen Brown is a terrific basketball player. He's not a great playmaker. He doesn't have a great handle. He can't run the pick and roll very well. So it's those two guys plus half of Jeff Teague. We have 2.5 playmakers on this team that somehow have to get spread out during the course of a game so that you're not left on court without a playmaker.
Well, that's the
problem.
That's why Nesmith is going to be key because he's a guy that can possibly get his own shot and generate some offense.
A lot to ask for a rookie, though. That's a lot to ask for a rookie.
Much time? I don't think you'll see much time, Scotty.
Oh, I think you're going to see a lot. I think you're going to see.
I think he's going to be playing 15 minutes a night. Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes a night. Yeah.
I would have thought a third of that.
Yeah. Look, we saw Jaylen Brown in the playoffs last year. You're absolutely right, Russ. He does not create his own offense, but this is where he takes the next level. This is where
I hope so. I mean, he's going to have to. If this team ends the year with just Tatum, Smart, when Kemba's back, and Tatum, Smart, and Kemba as playmakers, it's just going to be rough. You need some of these other guys to emerge, and Brown has to be the guy.
I'll tell you, Rondo would look good right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like Jeff Teague. Obviously, when Kemba comes back, then they wouldn't have a need for a guy like Rondo. I think, just pump the brakes now. Obviously, we're going to start the season against a really difficult opponent.
All right. Who are we playing? Who are we playing tonight?
Milwaukee. Yeah.
We're going to get destroyed.
Oh, they got destroyed last night.
Oh, guys, all right. Just because we didn't play well against the Nets.
Oh, Scotty, mark my words. All right? They're going to get destroyed.
Oh, no. All right. Okay.
The Bucks are in a back-to-back situation, right? So.
No, they didn't play last night, Joe.
Oh, they didn't. I thought they lost last night.
Okay, guys, the player that's going to surprise us the most on the Celtics, Timmy.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a positive way. In a positive way.
Who's the kid they got in the second round there?
Not in the second round.
Late
first.
Yeah,
I think he's going to do something.
Well, he's definitely a fan favorite. I can tell you that. All right.
I don't know. He's got something
Those
about
smoky white kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I picked the white kid, right? Of course.
Exactly. Joe, who surprises you?
And you're going to hate this one, but it's going to have to be Romeo Langford. He's the wingman they're going to need. If they're going anywhere.
We can pray.
So Uncle Joe pictures Romeo Langford on the court in his civilian clothes with a cat. All right, that's how he's – look, that guy If,
You know,
if
I like to go.
Romeo,
I like to go, and I'm sure he'd like to go punch his dad for allowing his mom to name him Romeo.
if Romeo Langford does not have a cast on, people ask him what happened. You know, that's Romeo. All right, Rusty boy, tell us the truth.
Well, I hope it's Grant Williams. If Grant Williams turns in a good sophomore year, improves, and can give the team 20 to 25 minutes a night, we're going to be in pretty good shape when those guys come back. I have to tell you, though, I do agree with Joe. I think Romeo Langford's going to be a pretty important player in the second half of the season because we're down a wing. We just are. I mean, and maybe Neesmith, really shows something, but we're down a wing right now on this team. And you're going to need one of those two guys, Romeo or Neesmith, to step in.
Nesmith looks like an NBA player far more than Romeo Langford has. Trust me. Nesmith's the guy, size, hustler. I love him, really, seriously. But Robin Williams is the guy. He's the guy who's going to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I hope so.
When you talk about our rim protector, he's going to be the guy that we need when these guards.
He was catching some flack on talk radio this week, boy. The word was he looked lost out there.
Robert Williams?
Yeah.
He's going to be just fine. You watch. All right, who's on the bigger hot seat? Brad Stevens or Danny Ainge?
I would hope it's Danny Ainge, but neither one is.
I think it's Ainge right now, only because look, this team doesn't have as much talent as it did last year. Again, Kemba's out without Kemba for sure, but they're not quite as talented. So I think Ainge pretty much revealed himself a couple of weeks ago when he said, the reason why I'm not bringing someone in for that trade exception right now is we want to see what the young guys can do. And it's a very young team. I mean, their depth is really, really young. Yeah. So he has not optimized things for Stevens to succeed this year. There's no,
from the position we were in, what was it, 3 years ago? I mean, has Danny even come close to what we thought was going to happen to that million draft picks that we had and the position that we are in?
No.
I mean, of course, Kyrie Irving threw a gigantic wrench in that.
But last year's draft, Timmy, when you could have got the Thibaults and the heroes, instead you got the Carson Edwards.
Yeah, that just goes along with
the Romeo Langfords and the Grant Williams. That draft could have changed the franchise for the next 5 years, and he screwed that up.
He's like the Bill Belichick right now of drafting,
And look, they had a combination of bad luck in that both of those picks for Sacramento and Memphis we thought were going to be way higher than 14, and both landed at 14.
I know
that was bad luck, but I don't think Danny, to your point, Tim. 3 years ago when we were sitting here taking a look at all the draft capital in front of us, I don't think we've optimized it.
No.
I don't think there's any question.
Absolutely.
And, we needed to kind of really, get some star who kind of dropped to us at some point, and it just hasn't happened.
Well, Carson Edwards and Shemi may be the two worst players in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, the bottom of this roster is bad. I mean, the bottom of this roster right now is really bad.
Yeah, right. Not a lot of developmental guys either, Russ. I mean, Taco, Trey Waters, Carson Edwards, Shemi. There's 4 guys that really shouldn't be.
They're all either undersized or oversized, really. I mean, they're not. None of those guys have the builds of players, and Shemi's just not athletic enough. He's the worst finisher I've ever seen in the history of the NBA. Like, that guy, when he takes 2 dribbles and heads to the hoop, he's got a 1% chance of converting. It's ridiculous.
We were all hoping he'd be a Tony Allen, but he's not even that.
No way.
No, yeah, right. Great point. Actually, bigger Tony Allen, who I loved. I can't believe the Celtics got rid of him to this day. All right, we go to the New England Patriots. Maybe you heard of them. Cam Newton, historically, is one of the worst quarterbacks for an NFL season. Through 14 games of all time. Cam Newton can't leave quick enough.
It's sad because I really like him. He seems like a very nice guy. He's done everything in his power to be a class act while he's been here. he just can't get the job done physically. It's just not happening. It's just the performance just isn't there. It's terrible right now. They have to move on.
Joe, it's tough to watch the Patriots right now.
Oh yeah, it's an ugly game. It's an ugly offense. The defense is much better. You have to laugh when you see all the Pro Bowlers are our special team guys, and that's all they got.
Yeah, that makes Bill Belichick happy. He definitely gets that special team right, Russ? And
yeah. Yeah. I just don't look. Is there a world in which you say, all right, Cam, if you got a full training camp, you have better weapons? I just don't think he's. If you're looking at like you want a veteran quarterback to try to win 10 games next year while a young guy develops, he's not the guy. Right? Aren't there other guys that you'd want to put in front of him?
I think they have to really study the hell out of this quarterback class coming out, and they gotta zone in on a guy who they think can take us somewhere.
Don't you think Belichick has a huge decision? Does he go with draft a young quarterback, like you said, Timmy, in early rounds, and kind of go with him and take another step back?
Well, Scotty, I think that
get like a Bridgewater, Alex Smith, and try to compete.
I think both of those actually. I think they have to pick. They have to zero in on someone who meets what they're looking for in a quarterback, bring them in, and then take somebody off the scrap heap to play and show this kid the ropes so that we don't throw him into the fire. So I think we need two new quarterbacks. We need an old veteran off the scrap heap, and we need somebody out of the draft.
Not an old veteran, but a younger veteran like a.
Yeah, there's a lot of Joe. You're hearing a lot. I mean, there seems to be a lot of smoke around this Matthew Stafford notion of him being available.
I really don't buy that. I think it'd be more likely to go to his old friend Peyton and get Jameis Winston.
And who do you have to pay a lot less?
Keep the interceptions down. He's got killer arm.
Yeah, maybe. I'd rather have them. I'd rather have them take a shot at a guy who not just is not just biding time, but if you could develop, you may get 3 to 5 years out of him.
You think? I know Scotty loves this, the Jimmy G thing. Now, if the Niners release him, what kind of money do you think he wants if he comes here? Or is that?
I think
is it a trade?
20 million. He'd be at 20 million. Yeah, he's under contract. You'd trade for him. I mean, I don't think you'd get him on a release, but he's going to make $20 million. Even if he got released, he'd want $20 million
for the 5 games before he
gets release him though, Tim. Why would they?
Why would they? Yeah.
4 years he's been there. The only time Shanahan's won anything is when Jimmy G was the quarterback. He's not there a lot, but he wins when he's got Jimmy G. He loses with anyone else.
Oh, he had an all-time great defense that year too. I mean,
well, there is a talk. Shanahan does love himself some Matt Ryan, and there is some talk that maybe Ryan ends up in San Francisco and they trade Jimmy G. Maybe back to the Patriots for a second. Maybe they trade him. Maybe that was the deal at the beginning. Get him a second round pick back.
But I would take Matt Ryan in a second on this.
Oh, absolutely.
Even in his old age, I think Matt Ryan still has stuff.
I'm with Joe. I'd rather take Matthew Stafford than Matt Ryan.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I like Scotty. I'm with you on this one. I like Matt Ryan.
All right, boys. The needs look like they're on both sides of the ball right now. But a guy like Josh Uch all of a sudden looks like, oh my God! All right, this guy could be an edge rusher that we need. I've been very impressed with him the last couple of weeks.
I don't know. He got pushed around like he was a baby. They were slaughtering him. They were running all over him last week.
Were you guys watching the same game?
I know.
Well, I guess Uncle Joe really likes Josh Uch. There goes another pick down the drain.
With the Patriots, he's so undersized.
Scotty, you're going up against the guy who watched the film, okay? Uncle Joe studied the D line 6 times in the O line and film study for about 4 days.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And the other favorite, Winovich, was just as bad. I'd be surprised if he's from getting snapped this week.
Jordan, Winovich gets pushed around too?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's small. He can't go up against those big left tackles. He's 265.
No one loves No one loves himself a small, slow, but smart football player like Bill Belichick. He loves himself small, slow.
Give me some Vrabel.
Right? Just that's all he needs.
Well, Stephon Gilmore. Well, Gilmore got hurt, and thankfully, it's not a ACL, which would have taken him out for next year. Apparently, it's a calf injury, and it can be dealt with, or a quad injury, excuse me. Is Gilmore trade bait this offseason?
Not anymore. I mean, that's a big blow to the Patriots. I just figured Gilmore would be gone, right, Joe? I mean, he's not going to play for that contract for the Patriots. Now maybe he will because he's coming off the injury, but he's due to make $7.5 million next year because they paid him up front for this year. Yeah,
he's happy with it.
He's not playing for that.
Trade him and let him be disgruntled somewhere else. Is what
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So
but I think you went from probably getting a first rounder or at worst a second rounder from Gilmore to coming off an injury because you're going to need to pay him. You may not get more than a third round draft pick for that.
Russ, you think the injury really devalued him? Now it's a calf injury. It's not an ACL.
Quad. I think it's a quad. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a quad injury, but still,
he's got to play poker. They're going to say we don't need injury.
Between the injury and the fact that he's going to hold you up for a lot of money, he's not playing for. He's gonna be looking for a contract in the 20s in terms of.
So Russell, you're saying like 4 games ago we could have got a first for him?
Yeah, going into next year, you're probably looking at a second at least. Because
I mean, we could also
salary as much as
this team wasn't going anywhere. If you could have got a first for him, that they should have done that in a heartbeat. That's bad management.
A team like the Steelers that would love to have a defensive back.
Their mistake was at the deadline. They didn't deal him, right? But that was ultimate. That was where his value was going to be the highest because he could help a team this year. And then if he held that team up at gunpoint next year, at least you got a half a year out of him, right?
A lot of people on the street ask me about Sony Michelle, and then of course that's a buddy of Uncle Joe's.
Those are fighting words to Joe.
Sony looked good. I thought he looked pretty good. I don't even know if you guys watched it, but I thought he looked pretty good.
He looked he plays like a man who knows he's going to lose his job if he doesn't actually run.
Well, he doesn't have a bumper or bruise on him this year, so I mean he's rather fresh at this point. But
Sony Michelle on the team next year, Russ.
I don't.
Cheap.
Probably, yeah, he's cheap. They're going to play. Look, what Belichick does with these running backs is he drafts them, and it's what happens in the NFL. You draft them, you just don't sign them to their second contract. So you sign a guy. You get 4 years out of him, and you say goodbye.
Oh, yeah. Burkhead and White are both free agents, too, remember?
Right.
I saw Sony do some things in that game that I haven't seen him do in years, like actually run through people, run away from people. I was pleasantly surprised at several of his runs.
And Jacoby Myers looks like a potential second wide receiver. Am I crazy to say that?
No.
Oh, I agree. It just he doesn't get – Brady didn't give him a chance. And Cam doesn't give him a chance to develop either.
You throw it in his zip code, he catches it. It seems like. I mean,
look, what this team needs is athletes. I just want to see better athletes. And Myers is an athlete. The good thing with Uche is, he may get run over, but at least he's a guy who's out on the field who can run sideline to sideline and track guys down. Yeah. I mean, everybody on this team is just so friggin' slow, right? N'Keal Harry's just slow as molasses. Like no one. And then you watch these other games with teams with players that are running all over the field from sideline to sideline. Like I'm watching a different football game.
Yeah, and we're not even big either. We're
small and slow. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have to do it. We have to do the predictions for the Buffalo game. Russ, go ahead.
I think Buffalo's going to kick the crap out of us this week. I think they're going to score 38 to 17.
Yeah. Timmy boy.
Buffalo 34-14.
Uncle Joe.
What was the Malloy game? 33-0. We'll go with that.
Yeah, it's really Buffalo's way to establish themselves as the AFC East champions.
I'll tell you, this kid.
They want to make sure that they send a message.
Isn't he good, Timmy? Isn't he? He's really good.
Did you
He's
see
really
that?
good.
Did you see that 55-yarder that he couldn't have stood next to him and handed him the ball better than he put that ball. The guy didn't break a fraction of a stride, and Allen put it right in his hands.
Look,
I don't know if I've ever seen Brady throw a pass that good.
When he's accurate like that, he looks like a young Aaron Rodgers to me. That's what this kid looks like.
It's like something clicked in him. He figured something out. They say he worked his butt off this summer. Something clicked. That arm and his brain are now in sync, and this kid is going to be something.
Well, that really just shows you could be an example how the Patriots may have to approach a young quarterback. Is that the Bills showed great patience with Allen, and they took their lumps, but now it's reaping the reward. I would also say maybe it's a Sam Darnold situation too. Sam Darnold, if you put him in a Patriots uniform, maybe he could take it to the next level. Because I like Darnold.
It doesn't hurt having Stephon Diggs to throw to. He also has Diggs to throw to. That's helping him a lot.
How about the Jets? How about the Jets screwing up the first match? I mean, was there a more Jetsy thing? Like, I was sitting there watching that game. I'm like, I cannot believe that the Jets Timmy, your head would have exploded off your shoulders had you been a Jets fan. Given how close that they were to Trevor Lawrence. Could you imagine Tim Hoey as a Jets fan watching that game the other day?
I'd be dead. I would have killed myself. Okay?
Trevor Lawrence slipping through your fingers like that.
Oh my God!
Sam Darnold might have Jet stink all over him. He might never recover from being a Jet.
Imagine what their fans. I'm surprised there wasn't rioting in the streets in Manhattan.
I mean, talk about it.
Well, that's Queens.
Worthless victory. It is among the most worthless victories it's one of the
coach should have gone to the bottom of the bench and taken the water boy and the equipment man and putting shoulder pads on them and put them out at defensive back.
Because now you're gonna overdraft a second or third quarterback in this draft, Justin Fields or one of these other guys. And you're going to screw it up.
Jacksonville, they can screw up just as good as the
Jets.
No. They're going to guarantee that. No, absolutely.
Yeah. They
called to be fired anyways.
They called Max Kerman this week. Jacksonville did about playing quarterback for them this weekend. They said,
absolutely.
I wish I had some tape of the fan down in New York, that radio show after they did that. Some of the calls that must have come in, they must have been beautiful.
But the mistake they made was giving the ball and letting Frank Gore play, because Frank Gore's a Hall of Famer. That guy's going to give 110% all the time. They should have thrown in some scrub who could have.
The first down he got to seal the game, it was like third or fourth after. He just flailed it over.
Frank Gore's got to be almost. What's he hitting? 70 pretty soon.
Yeah, but that guy he's a remarkable player and one of the top running backs in the history of the NFL.
Absolutely.
So Trevor Lawrence is going to be a generational quarterback. Absolutely.
Because the Jets screwed it up that bad.
That's just painful. Makes me so happy.
The Southern kid, he's happy to go to Jacksonville. He's very happy.
Gets to play in the warm weather. There'll be no pressure.
No pressure.
Why not?
He'll leave a lot of money on the table, though, because he could have been a wealthy man in Manhattan. But I guess it's an international game.
He's going to sign a nice.
He'll be fine.
He's going to have a nice.
He went to college in South Carolina. What does he know about money?
All right, the Red Sox. They signed some relief.
Some stiff.
Today.
Yeah.
But the story I have to tell you that just came on the wire. Tommy Kane, I guess who pitched for the Yankees. They just had the headline today that the Red Sox were second as far as signing Tommy Kane, but lost out to the Dodgers. And if that's not bad enough, Tommy Kane is out for the season. With
oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
Surgery. So not only did we not sign a guy who's out for the season, we were second.
Yeah, we tried to sign someone who couldn't play for you.
We're trying – look, I don't know if Chaim Bloom knows what he's doing, but right now it feels like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't – there's nothing to get excited about at this point, right?
Well, you know what? You have to have a little faith in the guy. I mean, he was beating the Red Sox with that Tampa Bay squad on about a tenth of the payroll.
Well, no, he wasn't beating us. How's he beating us? I mean, the Red Sox won 4 World Series.
He wasn't the boss down there then either.
Yeah, look.
He was just a regular guy.
Wouldn't you agree that if we're
Well,
talking about
Scotty, what I meant to say was that team that was a very good Tampa Bay team this year. He put it together.
Yeah, he was part of that team.
Their payroll's a freaking fraction, and they don't have 8,000 dead contracts out there that they're still paying for. I'm sure that made him look attractive. This guy's putting together a team that's competing with us, and he's doing it on 10 cents on the dollar. I'm sure that was the attraction to the Red Sox.
That was the attraction. Yeah, I think that's
all
right.
right, but I'm fine. I just haven't seen it yet. There's nothing.
Oh, I know. I haven't seen anything either. So, but
there's nothing. I feel like we'll see how these guys that they got for the Morelands of the world and stuff like that, and see how they work out. But right now, no buzz, zero. It's Christmas. No one could care less.
About the Red Sox, or by the way, about the Red Sox or Major League Baseball.
Right.
Major League Baseball has ceded the winter to the other sports. There's been nothing in Major League Baseball. Nothing. Gone.
Basketball's taken over.
That sport is committing suicide slowly.
If you ask a 12-year-old right now who's the best player in the major leagues, he won't even know Mike Trout.
Nope. He might know Mookie. Right. He might know Mookie because he's got a good name. Right.
Exactly. That's it. All right, boys. Well, that's our show for tonight. I want to wish you guys a Merry
Christmas, fellas.
Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I want to thank Corbin, of course, for all his great work behind.
Yeah, thanks, Corbin.
Please check out our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next week at Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.